Morning, how are you? Hope you're doing really well. I've got an amazing paranormal legend to tell you about today. We're in Nettlestead, and Nettlestead is next to Waterbury, and it's pretty much a stone's throw away from Maidstone. I'm in Nettlestead Church, for obvious reasons, as you will find out later on in the video. Probably one of the most underrated Kent churches, probably mostly due to the lack of parking that's really around here, if that makes sense. Really, it's a very tucked away in the Kent sort of countryside and the landscape. Although you do drive past it on the main road, it's kind of strange because it really is just one of these sort of churches that gets really overlooked. Still a beautiful church though, however, and this story obviously pertains to that. So, it's been on my bucket list, this story, for a very long time. In fact, actually, for me personally, it predates the Phoenix History channel of paranormal stories. So, in other words, we have to look way back early on for me to actually be aware of this place and aware of the story. Sorry, not the place. And I sort of it was almost too good to be true because the story itself is almost. If people have ever witnessed it, if they have, because it is a legend more than anything else, I need to be very specific on that, then my god, it would probably be like one of the greatest Kent paranormal stories ever told. OMG, right? Sorry, but it really would be. But we're here today and we're going to visit it, and I'm going to sort of talk to you about the story, and hopefully you'll be like, wow, that is actually, as paranormal stories go, legend goes, it's an incredible story. And it does relate to this church, which is why I'm here. But we need to go further down. So we need to actually go to the River Medway, which is literally just down there. And like we said, we can go to Maidstone that way if we wanted to. Or we can go the opposite way, which would be into Tunbridge. But we need to be right here. So let's keep going. Come on. Right, so this is kind of important if you do want to visit Nettlestead Church and you want to sort of know about the paranormal story. So I'm sort of going to be your little tour guide for today. If you're looking at that, what you've just seen in the little clip before, there's a little path, as you can see, that follows down from that main path. So the main path that I was walking down was, oh, sorry about this, I have to point for you. There's a path there, comes through. And obviously there's two entrances to the church, there and there. We want to come this way. We want to head down to the River Medway, which is down here. So we'll just keep walking down. There we go. Right. But it's important to the church. So this is all in relation to the church. So we're walking down the footpath that relates to the church. So I can tell you this wonderful story. And yeah, you need to see this beautiful arch, and do you know what? It really will add to the story itself. I promise you. How beautiful is that? And these wonderful sort of old stone steps, and in the sort of distance there. Oh look, you missed it. There was a squirrel. But yeah, wonderful, beautiful arch. Right, so this is your haunted paranormal tale. We've arrived down on the footpath that will lead us into Waterbury, and we are literally, that is our River Medway. So the story goes that on every November the 11th, potentially an annual thing, legend is that a monk is said to drag or bring down a woman, and she's said to be sort of taken all the way down here to this very spot, And then what makes this even more strange is that there's meant to be a haunted bridge. It's meant to link over onto the opposite side of this footpath, right across the River Medway. And then that bridge, that ghostly bridge, on top of that ghostly bridge, the monk dumps the woman into the river and she drowns. But it's noted that she's like bound. Can you imagine that? So you see this ghostly monk, that's eerie enough in itself, and he's got this bound woman, gagged and bound, brings her down to this very spot here. Like I said, the footpath's just there from the church, brings her all the way down here, and then, even though there's no bridge that exists here, so to bring her here, and as they walk up to the bridge, still this woman's bound and gagged, screaming as much as she can. She gets dumped into the water, and that's it. And as that act plays out, it just disappears and goes deathly silent and quiet. What an incredible story as a legend. And what makes this story interesting is that it's not just one person who's spoken about this legend of this before, so it's a solid legend, shall we sort of say. The fact that every November 11th, this annual sort of presence that happens, that would reenact itself on something here. Now, obviously this is Phoenix history, so in a historical context, historically everything would potentially add up. In fact, this wouldn't be the first and it won't be the last ghost story or stories of, historically important as well, where, you know, if you were to surmise, you would surmise that maybe that monk had a relationship with this woman. Very similar to the Old Saw Manor paranormal encounters that's happened before. I haven't done that actually on the channel, but I will speak of that one, in which a woman gets pregnant by a monk or somebody of the religious order. And obviously for him that's sort of like, oh, that can't happen. So they kill her, kill the woman. And this is very similar to that story, although we don't know that this woman's pregnant. But to be bound and gagged by a monk, to be taken all the way down here and to be placed into the river and drowned, doesn't, you know, it's sort of a very sort of similar story. We can sort of try to sort of add two and two together. Sorry, I'm getting bitten by a lot of flies. But it's a beautiful story in a strange way because it encapsulates folklore in its purest sort of sense. And it also elaborates it to a certain degree, the fact that there is no bridge here. There are plenty of medieval bridges that stem across the River Medway. In fact, there's loads. You know, in fact, I've done most of them. From Teeston Bridge, Medieval Bridge, to East Farley Bridge. Yeah, I mean, everything's there for that to take place. But it doesn't mean that there was never a crossing here. So even that, you know, you can imagine some sort of smaller type of bridge that may have placed here. I'm not trying to sort of say that this legend is necessarily based on fact, but historically the story would add up. But isn't that amazing? Isn't that absolutely amazing? And of course I'd save the best part of this story till last, wouldn't I? Well, there's a main reason that this story adds up even more is because of this, the actual railway crossing. Now, you may not. We've all in our lifetimes gone on a train and heard bumps in eerie spots and everything else, but we obviously attribute that to the common fact that it is literally just bumps on the track or whatever the train's experiencing. However, it has been noted before that on this very part of this track here, that when trains do go across it, said to be a strange sort of moment in which the train seems to sort of rattle in a very sort of erratic way and not in a sort of abnormal way. So make of that what you will. I obviously, in my sort of way, I find it hard to believe because it's just one of them things, but the fact that it's been noted before, so maybe you are a train driver or guard who's probably knows about part of this area in which they've sort of said, oh, you know, you go past Nettlestead on this actual very track that you hear like a paranormal bump or something a bit strange. Maybe that is the ghost, you know, we don't know, do we? Maybe it is that monk now still reenacting this out, coming down here, crossing this bridge, and then dumping the woman in the river. How amazing. There you go. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Historically, like I said before, as a historian, lover of history, the paranormal side of this legend intrigues me. It's quite possible things like this have happened before. The fact that it adds to this ghostly bridge that's not here as well, even more interesting. The fact that behind me is the railway, and it's been noted that there have been these sort of abnormal sort of, you know, rattles and bumps as the train goes past this area. Is that just the track though? Is that just a certain part of the track being a bit weird? Who knows? But what an amazing story. I'm sorry I didn't really talk about the history of Nettlestead Church. That'll probably be for another video at another time. But it all adds up, and that's what makes it interesting. So yeah, let me know in the comments below. Tell me what you think. Did you like that story, that legend? If you had legends in Kent, would that probably be in your sort of top 10? For me, it definitely is. It's one of the best ones. But let me know. Tell me what you think. But more importantly, spread the word of the channel. Spread the video if you want to. Just, you know, be part of the Phoenix history community. But as I depart this wonderful little journey and I carry on my walk, I'm going to keep carrying on now. Just imagine if you do visit, if you don't, it doesn't matter, but if you do visit Nettlestead and you come down here, might be something else to consider in your little journey when you come down here. And in more words of Phoenix history, thank you so much for coming along with me. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it till the end. And in the immortal words of Phoenix history, because history matters, take care everybody, look after yourselves, and I will see y'all very soon. Take care now. Bye. Kapow.